More than a decade after the first human invasion, Jake Sully leads the Omaticaya in peace, raising a family with Neytiri. Their children, Nediyam, Loak, Tuk, Kiri, and the human boy spider, grow up as one tribe spider, born on the military base and left behind when the humans retreated, feels more Na'vi than human, even if Neytiri still struggles to see past his bloodline. One quiet evening, the sky burns with incoming ships. The humans are returning, destroying everything in their path. A year later, aboard a massive orbiting vessel, the RDA awakens new Avatar soldiers, including a reborn Colonel Quaritch, armed with the memories of the man Jake once killed. His mission is simple: revenge. On Pandora, Jake leads a guerrilla resistance, striking human supply routes with Na'vi warriors on Banshee's Loak, eager to prove himself, disobeys orders during a raid, and nearly gets himself and Nediyam killed, forcing Jake to pull them from the wreckage back home. He scolds his sons, fear tightening every word. The kids later visit Max's small science outpost, where Grace's avatar still rests. Kiri feels drawn to her mother's old videologs, while Spider wrestles with the truth of his own origins. Meanwhile, Quaritch's avatar squad lands on the newly fortified human base. With faster tech and stronger footholds, humanity is returning to Pandora far quicker than before. As Quaritch explores the forest and finds the remnants of his former body, he's forced to confront the ghost of who he used to be. While Jake leads his ambush in the forest, his kids, except Nediyam, are nearby, laughing and exploring, until enemy shadows appear. They duck into the plants, and Loak quietly warns Jake through the communicator, but before they can slip away, Quaritch's squad surrounds them. He notices their four-finger hands and realizes instantly these are Jake's children. Then he sees Spider, his own son. With the soldiers waiting for pickup, Jake and Neytiri use the darkness to strike. Neytiri's sharp call lets the kids know she's there. Arrows fly from the shadows, and the children bite and break free. Quaritch taunts Neytiri, recognizing her handiwork, but Nediyam jumps in just in time to protect his mother. A gunship swoops down, forcing Neytiri to gather her kids and retreat, never noticing Spider is missing. Quaritch escapes with the boy. At the RDA base, Spider is strapped into an interrogation rig, refusing to speak. Quaritch tries a gentler tactic, claiming he isn't the same man who died, only a copy who wants a chance to know his son. Against his better judgment, Spider begins to soften. Back home, Jake tells Neytiri the truth. If Quaritch wants them, their presence endangers the entire clan. She hates the idea, but Jake insists leaving is the only way to protect their people. After naming a successor, the Omaticaya hold the ritual of leadership, and Jake's family heads for the reefs of the Metkayina. At the coast, Chief Tonawari and Ronal greet them cautiously. Jake's mixed-blood children and the threat of war make them uneasy, but tradition demands they offer shelter. Their daughter Rhea welcomes the newcomers. Their son Aonung wants nothing to do with them. Life in the reef is different. The Sully kids struggle to ride the Ilu and to breathe underwater for long stretches, but they keep trying. And Kiri, she doesn't just adapt, she belongs. The ocean seems to recognize her, its creatures moving toward her, as if she's one of their own. Meanwhile, Quaritch's squad begins taking Spider along on their missions, using him as their guide through Pandora's wild spider guides. Quaritch's team deep into the wild, even to a nest of Ikran. The fierce flyers only the worthy can tame. Quaritch challenges one anyway, wrestling it off a cliff. The squad assumes he's dead, until he rises from the clouds, riding the tamed beast like a man reborn. Back at the reef, Kiri's bond with the ocean only grows, attracting teasing from Aonung. And his friend Loak jumps to defend her. Nediyam tries to calm things down, but Loak's temper sparks a fight that Jake later shuts down. They're guests here, Jake reminds them. One wrong move and they lose their home. Kiri breaks down afterward, ashamed of how different she is. Her body, her connection, everything. Loak apologizes to Aonung as ordered, and the boy pretends to make peace, leading Loak to a remote spot to teach him. It's a setup. Aonung and his friends abandon him there. Alone, Loak is ambushed by a massive sea predator. He hides under coral until he runs out of air and surfaces, only for the creature to lunge at him. Then, a giant tulkun bursts from the deep, slamming the predator aside just as Loak blacks out. He wakes on the tulkun's back. The creature saved him. Loak removes a harpoon lodged in its fin, and in return the tulkun, Payakan, guides him home before disappearing. Loak takes the blame for everything, earning another harsh scolding from Jake. Aonung, stunned, asks why he lied. Loak simply says he knows how it feels to fail your father. The next day, Loak tells the clan he met Payakan. They recoil. Payakan is in exile, an accused killer. No one listens when Loak insists there's more to the story. Loak later visits Payakan to ask the truth, but the tulkun refuses. As they swim together, Rhea brings Kiri to the Metkayina's Tree of Souls. Kiri connects. Anne meets Grace, but before Grace can reveal why she's different, Kiri convulses in a violent seizure. She's rushed back to the village. Max arrives to help, but it's Ronald's ancestral healing that saves her. Max warns Jake. Kiri can never link to the tree again. Max's ship reveals its position to the RDA before vanishing from their scanners. To track it across the endless islands, Quaritch needs help. He turns to a whaling vessel. When negotiations fail, he threatens the crew into joining him. As the tulkun return to the reef for their annual gathering, Quaritch reaches a nearby island and captures its people. Spider watches in horror as his father's brutality surfaces, stopping him moments before he kills innocent villagers. Still, Quaritch burns their homes. Word reaches Tonawari. Quaritch is hunting again. Neytiri wants to strike fast, but Jake insists on a plan. They can't risk another loss. Meanwhile, Loak returns to Payakan. This time, Payakan lets him inside. Literally. Loak swims into the tulkun's mouth and bonds with him, unlocking the truth. Payakan once fought to defend his mother from human whalers. Though he acted out of love, his peaceful pod banished him for breaking their sacred law of nonviolence. Payakan wasn't a killer. He was punished for having a warrior's heart. When the kids return, Tonawari and Ronald unleash their anger. Interfering with the tulkun is the deepest insult to their culture. Only Rhea stands by Loak, quietly proud of his courage. Meanwhile, Quaritch realizes brute force won't make the islanders talk. So he turns to the whalers, helping them hunt tulkuns, knowing the slaughter of these sacred beings will drag Jake out of hiding. Spider watches in horror as the crew tracks the gentle giants by sound, kills them with heavy harpoons, and cuts into their skulls for a vial of anti-aging serum, throwing the rest of the bodies away like trash. When the villagers discover the carcasses, they blame Jake's family. Jake shows them the tracker embedded in a fin and warns it's a trap. They must stay put and send the tulkuns away. But no one will warn Payakan, the outcast, so Loak goes alone, ignoring Netiam's pleas. Netiam, Aonung, Rhea, and the others follow and find Loak struggling to rip a tracker off Payakan's fin. They join in, but the signal has already gone out. The whalers are on their way. The kids alert Jake through their communicators. Jake sounds the alarm, and the Metkayina mount up, racing toward the danger. The kids remove the tracker and drag it away to protect Payakan, but that's exactly what Quaritch wanted. His men dive after them. A frantic underwater chase begins. The children surface for air, and that's when the humans catch up. Loak, Tuk, and Rhea are captured in a net. Spider tries to fight for them, but he's restrained and dragged back inside the ship. Jake arrives with the villagers, ready to strike until he sees his children bound to the railings. Quaritch grabs Loak's communicator and orders Jake to surrender alone. But before Jake can reach the deck, Payakan explodes from the water, slamming onto the ship and ripping it apart with its fins and tail. Bullets bounce harmlessly off its armored hide. With the soldiers distracted, Jake orders the attack. The whalers fire harpoons, driving Payakan back underwater, and the battle erupts across sea and sky. The Na'vi move faster, diving beneath the waves and rising through the smoke. Kiri calls on the ocean itself, sending living tendrils of sea plants to entangle submarines. Inside the burning mothership, Spider uses the chaos to spread the flames with ventilation fans. and then he destroys the ship's control panel, turning the vessel against its own crew. The burning ship groans to a halt as water floods its decks. Jake and Quaritch clash in the chaos, exchanging gunfire until Jake's ammo runs dry. He sends his Ikron at Quaritch, knocking them both into the sea. Out on the waves, the whalers fire a harpoon into Pyakon, but the Tulkun rises again, using the steel line itself to rip their boat apart. On the main ship, Neteyam finally reaches the deck and frees his siblings. The girls dive to safety, but Loak refuses to leave without Spider, forcing Neteyam to stay and help. Suddenly, a soldier grabs Kiri, dragging her back to the ship. Tuk forces Rhea to return with her to rescue Kiri, but Quaritch intercepts them, shoving Rhea overboard and capturing Tuk too. With the ship sinking and soldiers evacuating, Loak and Neteyam slip through the shadows, ambushing guards. Spider joins in, and the boys fight side by side until reinforcements arrive. Neteyam covers their escape, firing back as Loak, Spider, and Rhea flee on her Ilu. When Neteyam finally leaps into the water, they see the wound in his chest. They rush him to a small island. But Neteyam dies in Jake and Neytiri's arms. Then Quaritch calls. He has Jake's daughters. Jake sends Neytiri ahead as backup and boards the sinking ship with Spider guiding him through hidden paths. They plant a grenade, and as the explosion throws the crew into chaos, Jake and Neytiri strike from the shadows. Neytiri, driven by grief so fierce even Spider recoils from her. Jake frees Tuk, but Kiri is gone. Quaritch emerges with her, forcing Jake to surrender. Spider begs for her life. Neytiri storms in, seizing Spider as a hostage. When Quaritch swears he doesn't care, she cuts him, proving she does. Quaritch, shaken, releases Kiri to save his son. Neytiri rushes the children out, but Jake stays behind. If Quaritch lives, the hunt never ends. Their brutal hand-to-hand fight continues as the ship rolls and sinks, trapping Jake, Quaritch, Neytiri, and Tuk inside its twisting corridors. Outside, Kiri and Spider stay clear of the wreck. Loak arrives, and the three split up to search. Kiri reaches out to the ocean itself. Sea creatures answer her call, guiding her through the flooded passages, straight to Neytiri and Tuk, and leading them safely out of the drowning metal maze. Jake finally traps Quaritch in a deadly hold and lets his body sink into the dark water. Exhausted and out of air, he begins to fade until Loak finds him and leads him to a pocket of air, reminding him of Rhea's breathing lessons. Elsewhere, Spider discovers Quaritch still alive. After wrestling with the choice, he can't abandon him and drags his father to the surface. Pyakon returns, just in time to save Jake and Loak, and for the first time, Jake tells his son how proud he is. As the family reunites, Spider slips away, leaving Quaritch on a lonely island. When the colonel wakes and begs him to come, Spider refuses and dives back into the water, choosing the family that raised him. Later, the Sullys honor Neteyam with a traditional Sea Clan burial. When the ritual ends and he becomes one with Ewa, Jake and Neytiri connect to the Tree of Souls, visiting their son's spirit one final time.